Criticism pours in following Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's outrageous comments that the Electoral College is racist. CNN's Chris Cuomo thinks something must be wrong because President Trump is too good looking. And San Francisco goes full PC as the city introduces kinder, gentler terms for words like felon and convict. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for making this week so great with the subscriptions, with your support. So before we get in, please hit the subscribe button, and when you do, please hit the bell so you'll be notified. It really helps me a lot. All right, we're going to talk about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because she says some wild stuff, and this one takes the cake. You know, the left goes after the Electoral College, but now, again, it's like with Trump or with anything, their term of the day is racist. And now she says that the Electoral College is racist. And the outrage and the blowback has been intense. And before we get to that reaction, here's just a little update in case you missed it. It says, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez took aim at the Electoral College, calling it a scam and suggesting it disenfranchises people of color. The Electoral College has a racial injustice breakdown, Ocasio-Cortez said. Due to several racial disparities in certain states, the Electoral College effectively weighs white voters over voters of color, as opposed to a one-person, one-vote system where all our votes are counted equally. All right, so again, the left will look at anything these days as racist, as a disparity where there's a victim and there's a wrong that they need to right. But this is a free country. People can live wherever they want. So if someone decides to live in one place or another, it's because they are they're free will, free thinking people, and they have the freedom to live wherever they want. And that doesn't mean there's a disparity that needs to be corrected in a certain state. It's just outrageous. But we all know what this is about. We all know it's because Trump surprised everybody, especially the left, when he won in 2016, and they want to change that. They do not want Republicans or conservatives in control. That's why there's talk about what they want to do with the Supreme Court, adding extra justices, and that's why they want to get rid of the Electoral College. It's all about keeping them in power, where major population centers, cities run by Democrats, will have control. So, and again, this is what she's doing here, and it's just absolutely outrageous. So, again, the reaction has been intense, and I want to go over some of the Electoral College theories and why and background and history, but here's some reaction from Dana Perino over at Fox News.
It's bad for civics education.
Yes.
Think of how many people follow her on Instagram, and I think, oh yeah, okay, the Electoral College is racist, and because she drives through a rural area of the United States, you know, she's driving through flyover country, then she thinks that it's okay to say that these people don't matter, the people that live here don't matter.
All right, Perino makes a great point there because in today's society, this is how people, especially young people, are being influenced. I mean, there's hardly any more civics anymore or history anymore. So you get someone with some left-wing views that has millions of followers, is a social media influencer, and they're the ones educating our kids these days because the left knows that if nothing else gets taught in schools, proper civics, proper history, proper background of the country and what it stands for and why certain things were done, then they're going to get their information from social media, which is now dominated by the left. Tech companies are controlling what goes out there, and we are in a big problem. So that's why we need to keep speaking up. And Perino adds some more. Here's what she says.
It's just the next step to saying that they don't want the United States Senate either.
Right.
Because the United States Senate allows for 2 senators from every state. They don't want states' rights. They just want the cities, of which you just highlighted in your A block, to be in charge across the country.
All right, and Perino, she really nails it there. It is about states' rights, but the way the Electoral College came together, it was a compromise, okay? Again, we separated from England, and there was this big fear of a tyrannical government, you know, a king, and so that governed all the thoughts. They thought, what was the best way to move this government forward? So when it came time to decide what to do about electing a president, there was one thought that said, okay, these members of Congress, the Senate and this House, we'll have them decide. But then they said, no, that could lead to corruption and tyranny, which is what we don't want. That's what we escape. Or we could just leave it up to all the people. And they said no, because that could lead to a populist uprising and people just out of anger or fear or some emotion elect someone. So they came up with this middle ground, and they based it off the idea that helped form the House and Senate. The House is governed by big states, have more power. The Senate is equal representation regardless of population. And the Electoral College ends up being that balance, okay? It's the number of House members and Senate members that is in your state. That's your electoral votes. So big states will always have more, just not outrageously more. And this whole idea that you need to win the popular vote, keep in mind that this is a union of states. States' rights come first. And so you do have to win the popular vote. You have to win the popular vote to carry that state. President Trump won the popular vote in 30 states compared to Hillary Clinton's 20. So what the left wants to do is destroy states' rights and make it cities' rights and have control of the country from LA and New York and Chicago and places like that. They will tell everyone else how to think and what we'll do. And it's just outrageous. But here's some of the reaction. This is from Iowa Senator Joni Ernst, who said, actually, AOC eliminating the Electoral College would silence our voices here in Iowa and in many other states across the country. This is just more evidence of how out of touch the Democrats have become. And former Governor Mike Huckabee had this to say in a tweet. He said, the great sage AOC apparently didn't take civics, so she wants to get rid of the Electoral College. The college we need to close is the one who gave you her degree. She won't watch this, but hope you will. Electoral College is good for Dems and the GOP. And then he included a link to a video that he produced a few months ago that really goes into the Electoral College and why it was there to begin with. Again, this isn't mob rule country. It's not just majority rule out of control. It is states' rights. It is weighted to give a balance between population and equal representation, and it works. I mean, since 1988, we've had only one, since Bush 41 won, only one time has a Republican won the popular vote, and that was George W. Bush's re-election campaign. So we would be shut out if we gave control to the major cities. It's already hard enough now with the way the left dominates technology, dominates the media, dominates education. We have a hard enough time. But to destroy what the founding fathers put in place with great wisdom is just insane, and it's exactly what the left wants. But that leads us to another interesting thing that happened this week regarding the Electoral College, and that is a circuit court put down a ruling that really deals a blow to AOC and to these others that want to just have popular votes, because as you know, there is this movement, this national popular vote movement from left-wing blue states that say that they want their state's electors, they want to pass laws that say their state's electors, regardless of what happens in their state, they're going to vote with the way the popular vote went. And here is a report from NBC News on this case ruling. It says, a federal appeals court ruled Tuesday that presidential electors who cast the actual ballots for president and vice president are free to vote as they wish and cannot be required to follow the results of the popular vote in their states. The decision from a 3-judge panel on the 10th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Denver is a victory for Michael Baca, a Colorado Democrat elector in 2016. Under state law, he was required to cast his ballot for Hillary Clinton, who won the state's popular vote. Instead, he crossed out her name and wrote in John Kasich, a Republican and then the governor of Ohio. So Baca's goal there, he didn't want Trump, so he was hoping other people would write in something else like Kasich and throw, the election into Congress and have Trump not get elected. But the real fallout from this ruling means that states, if they pass this national popular vote laws, those are invalid. You cannot force the electors. Once they start to do their actual federal duty of voting for president, the state's rules over them are not applicable. You can't tell an elector what to do once that elector is actually voting in a federal function for president. So it's a very good ruling for conservatives and those who want the Electoral College. Next, I want to talk to you about Chris Cuomo, because This is just bizarre. They will go after Trump on anything, whether it's Russia collusion or racism or whatever. Now, CNN's Chris Cuomo thinks that President Trump's too good looking, that he hasn't aged enough, and so something must be wrong. Here's a report from the Washington Times. It says CNN's Cuomo primetime host Chris Cuomo dedicated his closing monologue to attacking President Trump's consistent appearance over the past few years, arguing that the president hasn't aged as quickly as his predecessors because he doesn't care as much. Yeah, so that's the latest thing to attack President Trump, is that he hasn't aged as other presidents have. Here's what Cuomo said.
Look at presidents when they come in and when they leave. I mean, come on. Look at Clinton's hair. Went white. George W. Bush looks like he got a beat down. Obama looks like his own grandfather. I mean, look at it. I mean, this is a very hard job because of the stress that they carry with them.
So that's his lead in. That's the other presidents, and showed how they age probably over the span of 8 years that he's talking about. But here's what he said about President Trump.
Let's look at this president. It's been almost 3 years since Trump won the presidency. Looks exactly the same. I mean, his hair is like, I don't know what's going on with that, but look, he may do things that presidents in the past haven't done to augment their physical reality, but it could also be that he doesn't care the way others have. He seems content to vent and foment problems.
So President Trump isn't aging because he doesn't care. This is CNN in 2019. Can you believe this? I mean, there's a production, they probably had a production meeting, and people actually said, here's a good segment for you to talk about. Here's your closing. Here's your monologue. This is great. President Trump doesn't care. He's not aging like other presidents. This is news. This is what they find worthy to put out there. It's just absolutely nuts. And speaking of nuts, I want to talk about San Francisco, because San Francisco has gone PC. And you're probably thinking, well, they were already PC. Yeah, they're neck deep in political correctness. But now they're going for the whole head. All right, their board of trustees just put out a ruling saying that they want to change terms like convict and felon because they're dehumanizing. They're not sensitive enough for San Francisco. So the Washington Times has a report which talks about how this new language is being pushed on city departments to change. And here you go. It says, that tough customer with the teardrop tattoo is no longer an ex-con. He's a formerly incarcerated individual, a returning resident, or simply justice involved. Other examples of the criminal justice rebranding include parolee, change person on parole to person under supervision, drug offender or drug abuser, person convicted of a drug offense, convict or inmate, currently incarcerated person, violent offender, person convicted of a violent or serious offense, illegal alien is just a person or individual, an addict is a person with a history of substance abuse, and juvenile delinquent is a young person with justice system involvement. Are you kidding me? Justice system involvement? It sounds like when challenged was the big word to replace everything. You couldn't be retarded anymore. You were mentally challenged. Couldn't be handicapped anymore. You were physically challenged. Now it's justice system involvement. It's just absolutely nuts. And here's more from the Washington Times. It says, language usage that emphasizes or prioritizes a criminal record over the individual undermines, devalues, dehumanizes, demoralizes, and dishonors the humanity of that individual, said the resolution. Terms like convict and felon also make the institutionalization of racism and supremacy appear normal, said the board. So, convict or felon is now racist. Of course, it goes full circle with the show. AOC says the Electoral College is racist. Now the words convict and felon are racist too. Everything is racist. That's what you can take into your weekend. Folks, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, just a little reminder before you go, and no, this does not count against my 13 minutes. Please hit the subscribe button below and tell your friends. And if you happen to miss our last show, you can check it out right here. And also for great conservative news and commentary, please check out GOPUSA.com. All right, folks, we'll see you on the next show. Have a great day.